bound healing, first step is hemostasis. So if you remember, I told you in anatomy and physiological classes why blood in the systemic circulation doesn't clot, because your endothelial cell are releasing some substances which inhibit the aggregation of platelets, which inhibit the coagulation of the blood, right? So there are anti-platelet substances. What are these? PG, PGI2 is prostacyclin. Any other? एक बोलो. Which one? Nitric oxide. Any other? ADP dephosphatase. So these are the substances which are released by the healthy endothelium, and these substances inhibit the aggregation of the platelets towards the margin, right? And there are anticoagulant factors as well which is released by endothelium. Is anticoagulant is heparin and TPA. TPA is tissue plasminogen activator. So what happens whenever there is any injury to the cells? So what will happen? These molecules will not release. So what will happen? There are some material will be released by damaged endothelium only, and that particular molecule we call von Willebrand factors, VWF. And then first steps in the coagulation or hemostasis is platelet. What it is? Platelet will adhere. Platelet adherence. Platelet will adhere. And next step will be platelet activations. So all these steps you have to write in. If question is on mechanism of wound healing, so hemostasis I think you all can write in detail. Then there is a platelet activations, then platelet aggregations, more platelets will be aggregated, and these all will make a primary plug. But primary plug is not strong, it's a weaker in nature, right? So it can be primary plug will get the strengthened through clotting factors. So there is activations of coagulation pathways. So there is a intrinsic pathway, extrinsic pathway which we have discussed. So it will provide it will stop the bleeding, right? So bleeding will be stopped. So simultaneously next step is inflammations. Inflammation is required for the wound healing. So that's why if you remember, I told you inflammation play a dual role. It's it's required for various physiological functions as well, and as well as if it's uncontrolled, then it results in various diseases. So inflammation, controlled inflammation is required to heal the wound. So first, when there is any injury, when suppose there is a microbes, bacteria, anything, so first your immune systems will kill that and remove it from the site of injury, and then your repairing will start. If you are doing the repairing with the your causative agents, so how it will be repaired? So causative agents will do the degradations to your repairing material as well. So first you have to remove that exogenous substances from the site of the injury. So how it will be removed? It will be removed by the inflammations. So which cells play important role in the inflammations? Your WBCs. In WBCs, the first cells which reach at the site of inflammation is neutrophils. And why neutrophils are the first cell which reach at the site of inflammation is due to their size. They are smallest in size and most abundant WBC is neutrophils. So that's why neutrophils are reach at the site of the injury and start this inflammation process. And through that, I think every one of you can write how WBC will sense, how it will be reached first. How WBC will reach at the site of injury? In earlier classes we have done these steps. First it will be rolling, then adhesions, then migrations. So all these are the steps by which WBC reach at the site of injury. And once it reach at the site of injury, first important function of WBC is it should have the ability to recognize between the self and non-self. So when it sends, and sensors are your TLR, toll-like receptors. This we have done in detail, how WBC sense it and how your innate immune system works. So innate immune systems also release various cytokines and various mediators of inflammation. So depending upon the intensity of the injury, depending upon the intensity of your microbes, it depends upon that one whether your adaptive immune system is required or not required. I told you many microbe or many injuries are handled by the innate immune system only. There is no need to activate the adaptive, because to activate the adaptive immune systems it will take time. It will take 5 to 7 days, because I told you how it will be activated. Your antigen presenting cells will catch that antigens and present it to the helper T cells with the help of your MSC molecule, that are major histocompatibility complex. There are your co-stimulatory signal as well, right? So all these processes will take time, but many microbes or many injuries are handled by your innate immune system. So there is not a required adaptive. But if your innate is not able to handle, then your adaptive will be activated, and adaptive response is very much stronger response. And adaptive immune system, T and B cells are the major cells which play a role in the adaptive immune system. T and B cell. WBC is a part of your innate immune system. So in T cell also, they are further categorized into different category: helper T cell, cytotoxic T cell, regulatory T cells. So these are the different types of T cells. So helper T cells, how you will recognize? If you send your blood sample for the testing and you want to know how many helper T cell I have, so you have to see the results in the laboratory test with CD4 count, because helper T cells have a specialized proteins on their surfaces, that is a CD4, and CD stands for cluster of differentiation, and on cytotoxic T cells CD8. So there is generally we are doing CD4 and CD8 count. So we will get to know how many helper T cell and cytotoxic T cells are there in the body with respect to response. So these cytokines simultaneously also activate your B cells and produce the, what it is going to produce? Antibodies. Antibody against that particular exogenous substances or pathogen, right? So that is a process by which your inflammations will play a role. And during the inflammations, lot of molecules are released that we call mediators of inflammation. Lot of cytokines are released. Can you name few of the cytokines? Interleukin, TNF alpha, tissue necrosis factors, or PGI2, prostaglandins, leukotrienes. So these all are the mediators of the inflammation. In your syllabus, it's written about mediators of inflammation. So in that case, you can write all. That prostaglandin, leukotrienes, we have discussed how these are released whenever there is a injury to the cell membrane. So cell membrane is made up of phospholipid. So phospholipases are activated. It will do the degradation of PIP2 into arachidonic acid. On arachidonic acid, two enzymes will work: cyclooxygenase and LOX. So COX will do the production of prostaglandin, PGG2, PGH2, PGI2. So all these prostaglandins are produced by COX, and LOX will produce the leukotriene, right? So all these are also the mediators of the inflammation. So this is we have discussed. Then third step will be your inbound healing. Third step is proliferation. So the purpose of inflammation is to dilute, to remove that causative agents which cause the cell injury. The purpose of inflammation is that one. That is the desired inflammation. We are talking about desired inflammation. Undesired inflammations will result in pathological conditions, right? That is the desired inflammation. So after that, if there is an injury, so you want to fill that gap as well, right? If there is an injury, there is a bleeding is stopped, everything is stopped. So now you want to fill that gap. So how that gap will be filled? There is a proliferation of the cells. So there is a lot of your mediators are also released, like PDGF, platelet derived growth factors. Now we are talking about growth factors, fibroblast growth factors. So these all factors will be released. That platelet derived PDGF, platelet derived growth factors, right? So all these growth factors, there are a fibroblast are also activated. Fibroblast, they will do the production of collagens, आपने देखा होगा ना जब आपको कोई भी चोट लगी या कुछ हुआ है फिर उसमें स्कार फॉर्मेशन हुई है, सो हाउ दी स्कार फॉर्मेशन इज हैपनिंग ड्यू टू प्रोलिफरेशन एंड एपिथेलाइजेशन. Epithelial cells will proliferate, so they have filled that gap, right? So that is your by these particularly fibroblast also do the collagen synthesis, platelet derived growth factors, so all these helps in the proliferations. And before simultaneously with the proliferations there is a process of angiogenesis will also start. Angiogenesis, angio angio stands what? There are two words. Angio means blood vessels, genesis means formations. So formations of new blood vessels we call angiogenesis. So if question is asked on define angiogenesis. So angiogenesis is formations of new blood vessels, because new blood vessels are also required. You want to supply that particular scar formations as well, so you need a new blood vessels as well. So that process we call angiogenesis, the formations of new blood vessels. Then there is a proliferations and epithelializations or epithelializations. Epithelial cells will also proliferate. Epithelializations, re-epithelializations, these are the processes we call, and your wound will be healed. So wound healing is very important, and particularly we face problems if persons have a diabetes, so their wound is not healed properly. Have you heard about that? If someone have a diabetes and uncontrolled diabetes, you have to very take care of their wounds. Their wound healing process will be inhibited. उनके बाउंड जो हैं वो ढंग से भरेंगे नहीं, इन्फ्लेमेशन नहीं होगी सही से, या वट एवर द प्रॉब्लम्स दे आर, सो दे विल क्रिएट मोर बाउंड्स, और वो बाउंड्स आपके भरते नहीं. डायबिटिक फूट बाउंड, डायबिटिक फूट में आपको बाउंड हो गया, वो भर ही नहीं रहे, जख्म ही नहीं भर रहे, पर्टिकुलरली इन डायबिटिक पेशेंट्स, देयर प्रोसेसेस आर अल्टर्ड. ठीक है, और कुछ इसमें? डस्टर नहीं है? कौन है सीआर? कहाँ है सीआर? आप हो? डस्टर कहाँ है भाई? कोई नहीं है सीआर? हाँ मैडम बताइए. नेक्स्ट इज atherosclerosis. This is the last topic in your unit 1, atherosclerosis. There are two terms with respect to atherosclerosis. In your syllabus it's mentioned atherosclerosis, but you have to understand difference between arteriosclerosis and atherosclerosis and arteriosclerosis. There are different terms. Arteriolosclerosis, arteriosclerosis means hardening of arteries. When your arteries lose the elasticity, that is we call arteriosclerosis. Artero, A-R-T-E-R-I-O, arteriosclerosis. That is the hardening of your arteries. When your arteries lose the elasticity, your arteries have elasticity, right? So when your arteries lose the elasticities and it becomes hard, that process we call arteriosclerosis. Is it clear? And hardening can be happen due to various reasons. So atherosclerosis is one of the type of arteriosclerosis, right? And then there is a arteriolosclerosis, we call stroke, brain stroke, that we call brain stroke. And another one we call heart attack. Heart attack is how it's happening when your bad cholesterol is going to deposit in the arteries, your coronary circulation is blocked, so that will result in the heart failure. Got it? So that is your atherosclerosis, that we will do in detail in unit 2 as well. If you see in unit 2, the particularly the disease related to heart, atherosclerosis is also mentioned in that one. But one thing which should be very clear in your mind is difference between arteriosclerosis and atherosclerosis. Arteriosclerosis means hardening of your arteries when your artery lose the elasticity. Atherosclerosis is the one of the type of arteriosclerosis in which your arteries becomes hard or lose the elasticity due to deposition of bad cholesterol. Got it? Now moving to the unit 2, CVS, cardiovascular system. Cardiovascular system. So diseases related to cardiovascular system is one of the diseases hypertension, right? Hypertension. Huh? Maturations. Fourth is maturations, when your these scar formations, your fibroblast will be matured, everything is matured. That is the maturation step, last step. Cardiovascular diseases, the hypertensions and CHF is another one, congestive heart failure. Hypertensions, you know, if you do the screening of the populations, you will find half of the population is suffering due to hypertension. So hypertension is, there are two words, hyper and there is a tension. So when your blood pressure is more than its normal value 120/80 and it's more than that, be considered as a hypertension. But to consider the hypertensions, we will discuss what are the diagnostic methods. You can't say that if I am running from outside and coming and you immediately measure the blood pressures, obviously my blood pressure will be high. So you can't say that I am suffering from hypertension, right? So to say the hypertensions, there is a diagnostic criteria by which you can say that this person having the hypertensions or not a hypertension. So first is hypertensions, there is a increase in the blood pressures from its normal value. And what is blood pressure? Blood pressure is pressure exerted by the blood, and where it's going to exert? On the walls, on the blood vessels. So that is your blood pressure, right? So blood pressure is pressure exerted by the blood on the blood vessels. That is your blood pressure. So normally there is a 120/80 mm of mercury. 180 is your systolic, 80 is your diastolic. Systolic blood pressure is pressure exerted by the blood on the blood vessels during contractions of the ventricles. Yes. Hydrostatic is different pressure which are in the your blood circulation. नहीं, हाइड्रोस्टैटिक प्रेशर इज प्रेशर्स विच इज मेंटेनिंग योर ब्लड फ्लो कॉन्स्टेंटली, जो आपका ब्लड फ्लो चल रहा है, दैट इज हाइड्रोस्टैटिक. हाइड्रोस्टैटिक इज डिफरेंट, ब्लड प्रेशर इज डिफरेंट. ब्लड प्रेशर इज द प्रेशर एक्सर्टेड ऑन द walls of the blood vessels. The hydrostatic is not on the walls of the blood pressure. Hydrostatic pressures helps in the laminar flow of your blood, that we have discussed. Hydrostatic and osmotic pressure. Osmotic pressure is exerted by plasma proteins, right? So these hydrostatic and osmotic pressures helps in the movement of the nutrients, oxygens across the walls. Okay? So pressure exerted by the blood on the blood vessels we call blood pressure, and when it's more than its normal value we call hypertension. So hypertensions, I told you, when you have to write the pathophysiology of any disease, first step you have to write the definition. So definition you can write in multiple ways. When blood pressure is more than its normal limit, that we call hypertension, right? Then after that, if disease have a etiology you have to write after that. So etiology of the blood pressure is, most of the cases, about 95% cases, it's unknown. So you have to write, and I told you the diseases whose etiology is unknown, we call that diseases are idiopathic in nature. So this is the idiopathic in nature, but it's not completely idiopathic. As I told you, approximately 95% cases cause is unknown. So it's not completely idiopathic. There are 5% cases where you know the reason. What are the reason for increase in blood pressure, right? So etiology you have to write the etiology is unknown, and particularly before etiology you have to write the types of these disease. So hypertension is of two types, essential and non-essential. Essential and non-essential hypertensions. Non-essential hypertensions, where you know the reason, where you know the etiology of the disease. Got it? So these are of two types, essential and non-essential. Essential hypertension is those whose etiology is completely unknown, but you have to write, however, various factors, various environmental factors and genetic factors play a important role in the development of disease. What are the environmental factors which can cause the hypertension? Stress, anxieties, right? Your salt intake, you are taking a lot of extra salt, so these all could result in hypertension. That are the factors, right? Now again someone will say that okay, I am also exposing to the same environment and you are also exposing to the same environment, you are getting hypertension but I am not getting. So now there is a genetic factors, because genetic factors also play a major role, because genetic factors are interacting with the environment and result in the development of disease. So आप ये बोल सकते हो कि भाई मैं भी तो दिल्ली में रह रहा हूँ, तेरे को हाइपरटेंशन हो गई, मुझे नहीं हुई, मैं भी तो उसी इन्वायरमेंट में रह रहा हूँ, मैं भी स्मोक नहीं करता, मैं भी ये नहीं खाता, वो नहीं खाता, पर तेरे को हाइपरटेंशन होगी पर मुझे नहीं हुई. So that means there are a genetic factors which play a important role in the development of that disease. So environmental factors interacting with the genetic factor and result in the development of disease, right? So essential hypertension, you don't know the etiology, so you are writing in that etiology is various factors, environmental factors such as contaminations, pollutions, smoking, stress, anxiety, etc. play a significant role in the development of hypertension. Got it? Now second one is where you know the reason. So if you know, we have already discussed renin, angiotensin, aldosterone system. So in that case, major regulator of the blood pressure is which organ? Kidney. So if someone have a kidney problems, so that could result in hypertension. So in that case, you know the reason, because the patient's kidney is not working properly, and due to that his or her blood pressure is increased. So that comes under which type of hypertension? Type 2 or non-essential hypertension, where you know the reason. किडनी की वजह से, क्योंकि उसको किडनी की प्रॉब्लम है, उसकी वजह से उसका ब्लड प्रेशर बढ़ा हुआ है. Got it? Then there is another gland which play important role in the management of blood pressure is adrenal gland, where that release the aldosterone. So if someone have a problem with adrenal gland, so that could also result in hypertension. So here you know the reason. So if you are you are removing, means if you are treating the patients for the kidney problems and kidney problem is resolved, so automatically your blood pressure is also resolved. You can treat the patient. But essential hypertension, you have to give the medications for the long life, because you don't know the reason. Unless and until you don't know the reason, how you will cure the patients? How you will say to the patients कि आप 4 महीने के लिए दवाई खाइए, उसके बाद खाने की जरूरत नहीं है? कैसे बोलोगे जब तक आपको पता ही नहीं है रीजन कि किस वजह से बढ़ा हुआ है? Whatever the medicines we are using for the blood pressures for the essential hypertensive patient is, they are just controlling. जिस दिन आपने कंट्रोल हटा दिया, agonist and antagonist we are using, antagonist particularly ACE inhibitors, angiotensin receptor blocker. If your patient is not taking the medicines, then what will happen? Again blood pressure will increase, because the medicine which you are using is just to control, not to cure. And why you are not curing the patient? Because you don't know the etiology, exact etiology. Here you can cure the patients. It depends. अब उसकी किडनी की ऐसी प्रॉब्लम है कि उसको क्योर ही नहीं, मतलब ठीक ही नहीं कर सकते, तो ब्लड प्रेशर कहाँ से ठीक होगा, right? So they have to take the medicine. So this is your etiology. In etiology, you have to write very specifically the etiology of particular hypertension is unknown and particular type is known, right? There are two different types of hypertension. So what various factors such as environmental factors, genetic factors play a major role in the development of the disease, right? So that you have to write the etiology, types already done. Then you have to write the pathogenesis, right? And before that you have to write the epidemiology. In epidemiology, I think we have already covered. In epidemiology, you have to write percentage of cases. So you have to write approximately 95. In epidemiology section, what you have to write? Approximately 95% of the cases have a primary hypertension. And approximately 5% cases have a non-essential hypertension or type 2 hypertension. Got it? Now pathogenesis. So in pathogenesis, again what you have to be understand is blood pressure is equal to cardiac output multiplied by TPR. That is your mathematical equations for blood pressure. Blood pressure is equal to cardiac output multiplied by TPR. TPR is total peripheral resistance. Receptor belongs to which category of receptors? Which receptor it is? GPCR. In GPCR, which form it going to activate? GS, GI, GQ. G, GS or GQ? GS, right? So it's going to increase your CMP. So increase in CMP is going to activate your increase in your cardiac output, because your ventricles will contract. Whether it is GS or GQ, both will result in contractions of ventricles. If your ventricle contract more, so cardiac output will increase or decrease? Cardiac output will increase. If your cardiac output is increased, your blood pressure will increase or decrease? Increase. So sympathetic system, that's why nowadays, as I told you, means if you do the screening of the populations, you will get 50 or more than 50% of population is suffering from hypertension. The reason is because there is a balance in body, there is a balance of sympathetic and parasympathetic systems, right? So if you want to relax the bodies, your parasympathetic activity should be more as compared to sympathetic. When you are sleeping, which system is overactivated? Parasympathetic. That's why your body is relaxing. So but nowadays, due to our lifestyle or so many reasons, our sympathetic system is predominate over the parasympathetic system. In 24 hours, which system is predominate in your body? You just analyze. आपको हमेशा सिंपैथेटिक सिस्टम ओवर एक्टिवेटेड होता है या पैरासिम्पैथेटिक होता है? सिंपैथेटिक. सो सिंपैथेटिक सिस्टम एक्टिवेशन कुड रिजल्ट्स इन हाइपरटेंशन. पुराने जमाने में इतनी ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम क्यों नहीं थी ब्लड प्रेशर की? क्योंकि दे आर जस्ट रिलैक्सिंग. रिलैक्सेशन इज मोर एज कंपेयर टू सिंपैथेटिक. उनका पैरासिम्पैथेटिक सिस्टम्स इज रिजल्ट इन हीलिंग ऑल दीज थिंग्स. बट नाउअडेज ड्यू टू अवर लाइफ स्टाइल्स, कुछ भी बोल लो, भागा दौड़ी जो भी है, तो अवर सिंपैथेटिक सिस्टम इज over activated. We are exposed to more to sympathetic system, and due to that could result in blood pressure, right? So medicines which we are giving for the management of blood pressure, one of the medicine is you can give the beta 1 blocker, because beta 1 receptor is on the heart. So how blood pressure is increasing in this case? Your adrenaline, non-adrenaline is released by activation of sympathetic nervous systems. These adrenaline, non-adrenaline are acting on the this one beta 1 receptors, and beta 1 receptor result in contraction of ventricle. More contraction of ventricle, more cardiac output, result in increase in blood pressure, right? So one of the medicines which we are using in the management of cardiovascular disorder or particularly hypertension is beta 1 blocker or beta 1 agonist. Blocker. You want to block the beta 1 stimulation because it's a overstimulation of beta 1. So the medicines which end with the lol, sotalol, इसमोलोल, टिमोलोल, whatever the medicines जिनके पीछे लोल लगा होगा, टिमोलोल, सोटेलोल, these are the medicines which we are using for the management of hypertension, and these are beta 1 blockers. Beta 1 blockers. These are the beta 1 blockers. You can identify the, you just see if anyone in your home is suffering from hypertension और वो BP की दवाई ले रहा है, उस दवाई में ये दवाई जरूर देखो. There are two names in the medicines. Particularly you have to read the API. जेनरिक नेम. तो उसमें लोल लगा हुआ है, एटिनोलोल, सोटेलोल, इस्मोलोल. देयर आर ए नंबर ऑफ ड्रग्स अंडर दिस बीटा 1 ब्लॉकर. सो दीज आर द वन ऑफ द मेडिसिन्स which we are using for the management of not only management of hypertension but many other cardiovascular disorder as well, right? Another things how this blood pressure can be increased, over activations of your RAS. If your RAS is overactivated, so what it could result? It could result in hypertension if it's overactivated. So overactivation of RAS means if your renin is released from the kidney, then in blood there is a plasma protein, and that plasma protein is synthesized by liver, and name of that protein is angiotensinogen. 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 Angiotensinogen is a plasma protein which is synthesized by the liver, right? So when kidney will release the renin, it reaches to the blood circulations, and renin will convert this angiotensinogen into angiotensin 1. Angiotensin 1. And where this conversion is going on? In the blood circulations. In blood, these conversations are going on, conversion. So this angiotensin 2, when it pass through, particularly through the lungs. So in lungs, there is a enzyme, that enzyme name is ACE, angiotensin converting enzyme. So that enzyme will convert angiotensin 1 into angiotensin 2. And this angiotensin 2 has a receptors on blood vessels as well, right? This angiotensin 2 which is formed have a receptors on the blood vessels and result in vasoconstriction or vasodilation. Vasoconstriction. If there is a vasoconstriction, which component is going to increase? PPR. So your blood pressure will increase. That is the one. Another thing is this sartan, candesartan, irbesartan, losartan. So all these are the drugs which inhibiting the action of angiotensin 2 where on the blood vessel. It has a receptor on blood vessel, I told you. So angiotensin receptor blocker. These are the drugs which end with the sartan. Candesartan, irbesartan, losartan. These are also the drugs which we are using in the management of blood pressures and which end with the sartan. तो अपने घर पे जो भी अगर बीपी का कोई मरीज है उसकी दवाइयां देखना, उसमें या तो साल्टन होगा या प्रिल होगा. प्रिल आर द मेडिसिन्स व्हिच आर इनहिबिटिंग द दिस एंजाइम्स. कैप्टोप्रिल, द ड्रग्स व्हिच एंड विद द प्रिल, PRIL, captopril, enalapril, lisinopril, ramipril. So these are all the medicines which we are using for the management of blood pressure. ठीक है? You are giving the diuretics as well. Diuretics are those agents which will increase the urine output. So diuretics, because there is a more reabsorption of sodium and water, there is a water retention. So you want some drugs which will increase the urine output. So your fluid will not retain in the body. So that diuretics will help. So diuretics we are also using in the hypertensive patients. So diuretics will act here. They will inhibit the reabsorption of sodium and water. They will increase the urine output. ठीक है? Combinations. It depends upon the stage of the patients as well. But we are using in combinations. Got it? What? But that's why these are just controlling, because this is the systems which increase your blood pressure. Normal physiological conditions also, this system is what it's going to do. It can, if there is a little bit of overstimulation, it can increase your blood pressure. So you are just